Joining me here today is the one, the only Belal Muhammad, who is now officially top 5 welterweight in the UFC. We're seeing him everywhere now, going on the victory tour. What's going on, man? How are you?
Good, my brother. Feeling good. Back in Chicago, back in the stupid cold. Missing Vegas right now.
For sure, man. Is this the one time it's kind of fun to do media? Because I know a lot of fighters, they don't always love doing it, but for you, like this has to be a special occasion. Talking about being top 5, is it a little bit more fun for you this time around?
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun after a win. I tell people all the time. After a win, everything's easy. Everything's great. Leading up to the fight, you're like, I don't really feel like doing it. But after the fight, all right, give me all the media you want. I don't really care. I'll talk to everybody.
What's the most common question you get? Is it Khamzat Chimaev? Is it Colby? Like, what's the number one? You're like, here we go. I knew it was gonna come.
Yeah, literally before the fight, everybody's asking me, "How did you like the Hamza fight? How do you like?" And I'm like, "It's my fight week." I'm like, "Bro, I'm not worried about him. Why do you guys keep bringing him up? I want to look at my fight." And then all of a sudden, all the headlines are, "Bully B said this about Hamza," and it's like I'm about to fight Luque, and I'm like, "Bro, I'm trying to concentrate on something else." But it just keeps getting distracted.
So what does that do for you on social media? Because we know you're very outspoken, and so people feel like they can just say anything to you because you're accessible. Like, what kind of reactions are you getting on social media? I assume it's got to be Russian flags, American flags, Hamzat this, Colby that. How crazy is your social media looking?
Yeah, I get a lot of hate. I get a lot of people that tell me I suck, tell me that this guy will kill me, he'll murder me, he'll eat me, this and that. I'm like, all right, well, let's see it. I've had it already with the Wonderboy fight. Everybody said he's gonna spinning knockout head kick me. When Luque fight, I get a million of the gifts of him knocking me out. That it's gonna happen again. This and this. So let's see what they got for Kobe and Hamza. I'm ready for it.
How was it mentally for you going into the Vicente Luque fight? Because obviously, like you mentioned, everybody's sending you the gift. It's like, I really appreciate it. But it sounded like for you, you had a point to prove to yourself mentally. Like that was just a fluke. That's a thing that happened once. How was it for you mentally going into that fight?
Yeah, it was definitely a hurdle I had to get over. It was one of those where I had to, you know, go deep into my thoughts because obviously a guy who's knocked you out before is like it's getting back into a car after a car crash where you get a little bit nervous and it's like I'm going right back to the scene of the crime in the cage with this guy and I got over it having faith in God, having faith in myself. I know that God's plan is there's a plan for everything, so that helped me a lot through it and thankfully I pushed through it. That first punch did it, landed, and I was like, all right, I'm still standing. We're good. Let's go.
Well, was that something you were actively thinking about in the cage? Like, was there a moment you're like, oh, I wonder if I can eat it? Which is funny because you're moving so much. I don't think you really take a clean punch, but like, do you have a moment where it's like, I'm not sure about it?
Not in the cage. In the cage, it's like you don't really think that the worst thing you do in the cage is start thinking because that's when all of a sudden you start moving a lot slower. But before the fight, yeah, you're thinking about it. You're like, oh, is the first punch gonna land? Is the first punch puts you out? What are you gonna do next? Uh, those are the things that go through your thoughts fight week because you're just sitting in the hotel room. You got nothing to do. You don't want to sit there and talk to nobody. You're just trying to concentrate. You're cutting weight. You're in the sauna, and then you're on death's bed, and you're like, what's gonna happen right now? Is this all for nothing? Am I gonna go out there and lose? I'm cutting all this extra weight right now for to go out there and lose in the first round or what? And crazy thoughts that go through your head.
You fought two of the nicest dudes, literally pound for pound in the sport, back to back. Is that kind of tough for your brand? Because it's like you don't have a choice but to be the bad guy because they don't know how to say a negative thing about literally anything.
I would say three back to back. I had Maya,
Yeah, right.
Wonderboy, and Luque, and I'm sitting there like they have such a big fan base, and like you said, they're the nicest guys in the world. And even with the Wonderboy fight in the crowd, where some guy was like saying the most negative things
Right.
to me, I'm like, dang, those are Wonderboy fans. What the heck? Wonderboy's so nice. But yeah, it's crazy. And like I think I had the NMF title now. I think that puts me at the top of it. My bad. Call.
Yeah, so I thought. Yeah, you were saying you have the nicest motherfucker title. Well, you didn't say it in those words, but that's what you were saying.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that should give me the belt right there. Because I mean, in general, I'm a nice guy. When you meet me in person, I don't do nothing bad to anybody. Anybody who's ever met me, they loved it.
I feel like you got a little bit more respect with this win than you did the Stephen Thompson. Because people were mad at you because Stephen Thompson's nice, but also you wrestled. And this one, I saw a lot of people were saying like, "I'm just mad, like he beat Luque like that." They were just kind of hoping you guys would throw down. Like, do you feel like you're getting a little bit more respect for the Luque win?
I think I'm getting more respect from my peers and from like the people that really understand martial arts and understand fighting. Obviously there's the dumb fans that just want you to stand in front of each other and bleed and die and go out there like that. But a guy like Luque who had just that natural ability to put people to sleep and power, you're not gonna stand in front of him. You're not gonna do that. But for me, I landed some big shots in the feet. I used a lot of movement this fight, showed something different that people haven't seen me use before. And it opened up a lot of things for me with takedowns and other things in that way, clinches, elbows. But I think I put it all on the line in this fight where I showed everything, where there was kicks, elbows, punches, knees, takedowns, submissions. I went out there and it was a full fight.
I think the big thing we noticed from this game plan, obviously the 5 rounds, the constant movement, the wrestling, is that cardio must have been on point. Like, how do you work a cardio like that? Because I assume a lot of guys try to do that by the second round. You got the hands on the knees, and they're just like, man, out of breath. How do you work cardio to have like such a foolproof game plan like that?
Honestly, man, I'm probably overworking 90% of the time. I tell people I like train. They're like, "What did you do different for the 5 round fight?" I'm like, "Bro, when I train for a 3 round fight, I'm probably training for a 5 round fight, the right way." But it's just hard work. Like for me, there's nothing natural. There's no like natural talent. It's all like I'm grinding and I'm pushing myself for every little thing that I get. Like I wasn't born into a martial arts family or anything like that. Like I started training when I was over 20, when I was 22 years old. So like I had to work twice as hard to get to the level of where I'm at now. And just to keep evolving, I know I have to keep working.
And so you're in a very fun division. Obviously, there's a lot of storylines. There's a ton of beef. Who would you say you have the most beef with at the top? Because I feel like when I say that, we're thinking of Colby, but we're also looking at Leon. Hamzat, it's not really beef, but his fans are kind of assholes. Like, who would you say you have the most beef with at the top?
I don't know, man. Hamza were going back and forth on Twitter for like
Right,
a full like couple weeks. He was posting on that gif of me getting knocked out by Luque a
right,
lot.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, I think one of those matchups will be fun just because it'll be like you said, it's not an NMF. I can go back and forth with those guys if it's either Kobe or or Hamza, and there will be a back and forth, and there will be I can talk trash to one of these guys and not look bad. Uh, I think those will be a lot funner fight. Obviously, I don't even consider Leon fighting anymore. Like I don't know what that guy's up to. He's had one fight in the last like 3 years. I know they're promising him the title fight, but we'll see. I don't think that Usman's going to be back as soon as they think he is. So if Leon's just going to sit out a lot longer, we'll see what's next.
Is there a lot of frustration sort of looking at Leon's what he's doing? I would say who he's fighting. He hasn't really fought a whole lot of people. You fought 3 contenders back to back. How frustrated are you watching his situation?
It gets frustrating, but then, like I said, it's everybody has their own path. Like for some reason, I don't know why Dana White privilege is giving him the title fight, but like I said, like I think I definitely had the best resume in the division. There's nobody in the division that's fought these guys back to back to back. And I've also, if you're really thinking about it, I've even accepted the Leon fight. So that's 4 top 5 guys that I'm fighting back to back to back to back. And I'm the only guy in the division that's doing that and willing to say yes. But I always say it like I'm not giving anything. I don't expect to be handed anything on a silver platter or anything like that. I know that they're going to make me work for everything I get. So I'm just expecting to have to go through every single one of the guys in the division. Then I get the title fight. Then it's going to be me going full circle around like they're saying Usman's going right now, even though he's only being 3 guys in the top 10 right now. But I'm going to have to go through, if I have to go through all those guys to get to the title fight, and I get the title fight, then I've already gone through everybody in division already. So I'm good.
What's the most fun matchup at the top? I know the trash talk figures in a little bit, but which one do you look on paper and you're like, just in the cage, that one's going to be a ton of fun for you?
The Kobe fight, just because I hate him. I just want to punch him. I want to feel my fist hitting his chipped tooth and then just like landing right there in the middle.
What was there something in particular with Colby where you're like finally like, you know what, I hate this guy, or is it just overall watching the character progress? You're just like, there's nothing likable about him.
I mean, I literally been calling him out. If you go back to my earlier fights in the UFC, I've been calling him out for a while. I just hate his personality, the way that he thinks that it's okay to talk about people's countries, talk about people's families, and things like that. It's not cool. And as like from where I grew up and the people that I know and people I'm around, like if you say stuff like that, you deserve to get slapped. And the fact that now you see his mouth getting him into trouble, and he gets slapped, and then he calls the police. It just shows me what type of coward he is.
And so for you, if you fight Colby Covington, I feel like the buildup is going to get very ugly, especially with the way he likes to, to push things as far as they can. And with you, obviously, you feel like a lot of people are going to go after you for your religion, even for your country of Palestine and stuff like that. Are you sort of thinking like what kind of effect that has on the bigger picture as sort of an ugly buildup like that?
Honestly, no. I mean, because for me, I don't take anything personally. I, I've grown up in South Side of Chicago, played basketball, where all we do is talk trash to each other. So like, it's all fun and games to me. So like, and then Kobe's trash talk is terrible. So like, I know that I'll end up treating him really bad, and he'll look very stupid trying to go back and forth with me.
You mentioned basketball a little bit. The Chicago Bulls back in the playoffs. Things are a little dicey. DeMar DeRozan not having the best debut. How far do you think the Chicago Bulls can take it this year?
Man, they had to give us the Bucks the first round. I was like, come on, bro. I think we got a good squad. They're gonna be okay, but it's just terrible first round matchup for us.
Zach LaVine, do you think they should re-sign him? I mean, that seems to be the big question. They do what the Wolves did. Where are you at with Zach LaVine?
Yeah, dude, exactly. You have to resign him. I think that you know before we had the Rose and Levine was our guy. He was the one that was giving us something to watch. So I would resign and pay that man his money.
I know your coach Lewis Taylor was saying back when the Bulls were not great, he was saying he put his fandom to the side. Did you ever put your fandom to the side, or did you stick with it no matter what?
No, I never like. I'm always riding with the Bulls. I'm always a basketball fan in general, even when they're at their worst. I just like love watching basketball, and you always have to watch the Bulls.
All right, man. So we woke up this morning. We found out Belal Muhammad officially top 5 UFC welterweight. What was your first reaction when the news broke? Like, obviously we knew it was coming, but what did you think when you first saw it made official?
I mean, like I said, I knew it was coming, but it just showing the world that that I belong. Now, I had a lot of doubters after that Wonderboy fight. Oh well, Wonderboy's old or Maya's old. Now you can't say nothing about Luque. Luque's in the prime of his career. He's a monster, and I just beat him.
So you look at all the fights. I mean, if they make Khamzat versus Colby, it sounds like they want to do 5 rounds on ABC. Is there another matchup you look at, or are you trying to find a way to, go directly towards the title fight?
I mean, I honestly, I don't think they're gonna. I don't think Kobe's gonna take that fight. I don't think Kobe takes Khamzat. I think that Kobe's gonna look for an easier matchup. Look for an easier route back to Usman. He's even looking upward at Asanya. I don't think Kobe's gonna fight again this year. So I think that's gonna leave a lot of openings.
So, I mean, what did you make of the whole incident with Jorge Masvidal? You touched on it, but for you as a fighter, like, what did you think when you see, like, people are always a little bit weird about fighting outside the cage? What was kind of your first reaction? It sounds like you were sort of, we knew it was coming.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about a guy's family, when you talk about his wife, like I said, there's some things that are promoting fights, and there's some things that are just being stupid. And with the stuff that he says, it's like you guys can say, oh well, it's all a part of his image and build up and blah blah blah. But no, it's not. It's the dude's a clown, and like clowns like that, like he deserves to get slapped. And the only thing that I'm mad about is that I'm like, look, Masvidal, you ain't got no boys you could give a couple grand to go over there and freaking jump him. Like, have somebody do that to him. Like, you didn't have to do it yourself. It's not like you're like people won't notice you, but it just showed me that it hurt Masvidal that much that he wanted to go do it himself.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like a lot of people, they say you don't get that satisfaction in the cage, so you go searching for it outside of it, which, I mean, literally the way he did it.
Yeah, I mean, like people could say all they want. Oh well, blah. Why don't you do it in the cage? Why don't you do it in the cage? It doesn't matter. Like if you get in a street fight, you lose to somebody, I'm gonna go back the next day until I end up getting my lick. I'm gonna get my lick back no matter what.
And so, obviously, we have to talk about Hamzat. That's the big topic. I know if we're required to ask you about it. Did you watch the Burns fight against him? Like, were you watching, or were you sorely focused on your camp?
No, of course I was watching that fight.
I mean, did,
That was a great fight. You had a lot of people that now they're like, oh well, maybe Hamza's not the guy that we thought he was. I'm like, what do you like? He fought great. He showed that he had a chin. He showed that he had power. He had wrestling. He had brains that he didn't want to stay on the ground with Gilbert. I think that we learned more from that fight than any of his other fights. I'm just happy that it wasn't a quick knockout because then we would have really know what he really has inside of him. But he showed a lot, and he showed freaking like nerves of steel that he's sitting around the cage before the fight. So I think he's legit.
So, I mean, was that the performance? Because a lot of top 5 welterweights, the big thing was like, "Oh, we don't know about this guy. He beat Li Jingliang." Like, for you, that was enough where it's like, yeah, he belongs at the top with the rest of us.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he has a skill to beat a guy like Gilbert Burns, who's been in there with Usman and almost had the title slip out of his fingers. Like when you go to war with him, you take some of his best punches, give him some of your best punches. He definitely belongs.
All right, so we know you want Colby Covington next. You called him out. You mentioned that he may not fight again this year. I mean, realistically, who do you think they're going to pair you up with next? Have you sort of heard anything?
I haven't heard anything, but I think that it's going to end up being me and Khamzat.
Hopefully, that would be a great fight. One last question for you, man. What does the perfect 2022 look like for you?
Perfect 2022 is me ending the year with the belt around my waist.
All right, well, there we go. Speak it into existence. Thank you so much for the time, man. I truly appreciate it. And congratulations on the win. Congratulations on the number 5 ranking.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.